busy couple of months since we closed. A lot of things have happened. The wheels are turning. Great things are happening. We've added some board members. We've recruited some board members who, huge assets. We have Peggy Larson. She's a veterinarian, also an attorney. Who am I missing for new board members? Jen Bordeaux. She's great. Brings a wealth of knowledge. And I know I'm missing somebody, but they're not here. And of course, grateful to the board members who are still with us. We have been negotiating a private sale with 141 Fairfax Road, so we do have a buyer for that property. Negotiations went great, and we're working on securing a contract. It's actually being reviewed by our attorney right now. So that should be finalized soon. So that'll allow us to move forward quickly. As soon as that happens, we are closing in on hiring a transition manager. We're almost there. We have a lot of really strong candidates. The transition manager is going to move us from to here and start taking in kitties and dogs again. And yes, I said dogs. We will be serving dogs. Let's see. Since we have closed, I'm sure a lot of you may have already heard, but we have taken in over 40 feral cats that were trapped by some amazing volunteers. Those cats were a part of our feral colony. We didn't realize was that many, but it turned out to be that many.
They're not all feral.
They're not all feral.
It was 30 or so with the feral colony, and then there's more.
The others.
Yes.
Some may have been people's pets that they kind of
Pregnant mamas.
care for, pregnant mamas, all that good stuff. Some have had babies since. We've had some fabulous foster homes, and they will all be adopted out. So that is great news right there. So while we're closed, things are still happening. We have a triage plan in place, which Lynn so fabulously has put together, and Marianne and Suzette has all helped execute. If there are problems, if there is an animal that needs our help, we are able to help them. We may not be able to take them into the shelter right now and house them, but we are able to help them. And we are facilitating either a place for them to go. The Bed and Biscuit has kept a dog for us. We're very thankful for that. Also some cats. We're helping place them or put them in a temporary place until they find a home. Let's see, we've met with a lot of community leaders. We met with the Rotary Club recently, and we educated all of them. Actually, there was some misconception that we were funded by HSUS, the National Humane Society, which we're not. I'm sure all of you in this room know that. We've been educating. We've been out there. It's been exhausting, but it's working. It's definitely working. The purpose of this meeting is to update everybody, make sure everybody knows what's going on, and there's some breakout sessions in the end so you can have a little more one-on-one with some of us and better understand what is going on. I'd like to introduce Jen Bordeaux, who's going to come up and tell you where we're headed, because she has some great organizational skills and has helped us put together a plan moving forward. So Jen would like to come on up. Oh, hold on, excuse me. I forgot some fun facts.
Oh,
but you stand right here with me.
All right, go
Some
ahead.
very important fun facts. Since we have closed, the community has came together and helped us. Since the closure, we have raised $22,181. That is incredible. Thanks to the GoFundMe, thanks to our resource committee, Lydia and her crew, and our community. So thank you, everybody. That was an important thing I forgot to mention. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so I'm Jen Bordeaux. I'm one of the newest board members. I've been involved for 6 weeks, so I'm a newbie, but it's been so far really a rewarding experience. It'll be more rewarding when we reopen, but this has been a really great team of people to work with, and just to see what Paul just mentioned about the community coming together and raising money to support this reopening, that to me is really inspiring, so thank you for that support. So what I wanted to talk about first, this is just a very quick snippet of a project plan that we've developed and that we're changing and revising and adding to every single day. So this project plan helps keep us organized. It lists all of the tasks that are needed in order to reopen. We've got it organized by functional areas like finances, operations, facilities. So I just wanted to show you what our organizational pattern is here. And probably the thing I wanted to point you to the most is on the right-hand column, all the way to this side, you see that we have started assigning names to all of these tasks. And this is important to note because all of these people working on this reopening so far, everyone's on a volunteer basis. So it's obviously a huge undertaking. The point of that being, if anyone here is interested in volunteering, please let us know. We're really excited to meet you and we're excited to have you on the team. So please check in with us afterwards if that's something that you're interested in. All right, so let's talk about some of the big highlights, some of the items that will be required that are crucial in order to reopen. So first and foremost, let's talk about 30 Sunset Meadows. So anyone who's familiar with this building at 30 Sunset Meadows, we all know that she needs a little bit of love, right? So some things that includes the HVAC system. It's in disrepair. It needs to be inspected, it needs to be updated, it needs to be fixed. The HVAC system is very important because this includes the air handling system, which promotes the flow of air throughout the building, which is critical to animal health and also to the health of the people who work there. So this is a really critical element in order to reopen. There are some other items throughout the shelter that also have to be fixed as well. I won't go through the whole punch list, but there are items that require attention above and beyond the HVAC. We are in the process of obtaining quotes for this work to be done and really understand the scope of what has to happen. So another thing we should talk about, there's the opportunity currently to consider the space at 30 Sunset and really understand, is it being used to the best of our abilities as it is now? Could we benefit from a layout change? Is there anything that could take place to let us better utilize that space? So this is a perfect opportunity to be able to assess that and really take stock of how we're using that building. And then the last item, of course, just some general sprucing up, some painting and some cleaning. Could use a little bit of a facelift. And if there's any silver lining to this, to the shelter shutting down temporarily, I would say that it's the opportunity to really get into 30 Sunset Meadows and do these necessary repairs that are critical to the safety and the soundness of this building, to the health of the animals. That's crucial. So this is the perfect time to get in there. There are no animals there, or usually there are no animals there. But this is the time to do these kind of repairs. So we're really trying to capitalize on that time that we've been given. Next up, as Paul alluded to earlier, working on that contract for purchase and sales at 141 Fairfax Road. If there's an interested buyer, that's rolling along nicely. We are crossing our fingers for a late summer / early fall closing of that property. That is very exciting because that's going to free up capital for the animal rescue that can be used for renovations of 30 Sunset Meadows or whatever else has to take place in order to reopen. Paul also mentioned the transition manager earlier. We are hiring for a part-time transition manager. I showed you the snippet of the projects plan before. That whole project plan in its entirety is actually 140 task items, and actually I added 2 earlier tonight. So this transition manager will be a project planner. They'll be organizing and planning the reopening. They'll be like the central hub for communications, doing general bookkeeping and admin work. And the exciting news is, as Paul mentioned, we are currently interviewing some candidates, and we obviously hope to get that person on sooner rather than later to keep this all going for us. So that's really exciting news. And last but not least, I think that we can all agree that the most critical piece of all of this is really determining what is the shelter going to look like moving forward. What kind of programs are going to be offered? What are the community needs that have to be addressed in order for the shelter to be successful? And once those programs are determined, how are they going to be paid for? Obviously, the concern is making sure that the program is sustainable, that we don't have concerns in the future like this where we're facing a temporary closure. So what programs do we need to offer for the community, and how do we plan to make that a sustainable program moving forward? So in regards to the high-level items I just mentioned, I plugged them into a quick timeline just so you can see the visual of what we're looking at in terms of a reopening. I think really it comes down to the renovations at 30 Sunset Meadows and how quickly we can get that done. It is summer, everyone's busy, contractors are busy, as I'm sure we all know. So I think that's going to be the linchpin to the reopening timeline. And the project plan I alluded to earlier, which is now 142 line items, when you take all of those main headings and you put it into a timeline, it looks something like this, which is a little overwhelming at first. This is why we're excited about a transition manager. Obviously, there are a lot of balls in the air right now, but this is how we're staying organized. We're hoping our transition manager can help us along with this as well. So that's all we have so far in terms of what we're going to, the main items in order to reopen and how they affect the timeline. So that's all I had. I'm going to turn it over to Karen.
Thanks, Jen.
Hi, so I'm Karen Taylor Mitchell. When I'm not here, I work with a nonprofit called the Governor's Institutes of Vermont. I've been there for 7 years. If anybody has teenagers who are looking for something wonderful to do in the summer, look into the Governor's Institutes. It's really, really well known and beloved in the community. But I'm here because I love animals like all of you guys, and I have adopted 3 cats over the years from Franklin County Humane Society, some of whom might be in this presentation. I'm not sure because I can't remember what pictures I used. I want to follow up on what Jen said, and I want to really applaud what Jen has done, which is make sense of the amazing chaos that we have been in terms of trying to figure out all the things that we need to do to reopen. Now it'd be really easy for us to just close the doors. We closed the doors, right? Why not just open the doors again? And then we're open. Except there's all these pieces that we need to put in place so that we're not in exactly the same situation tomorrow. And that's what all of this is about. That's what all of the planning and all of the work is, so that when we reopen, we can be stronger and more sustainable and serve the community better than we ever have before. And so this crisis that is terrible is going to be an opportunity where we're going to make sure that it never happens again. But it does take a village. She showed you the list with all of the to-dos on it. She showed you the volunteer names. I don't know if you noticed, there's a bunch of empty spaces there. And they're not all going to get filled by the transition manager, because the transition manager is 24 hours a week, and the job that we've put together is about 4 people's full-time jobs, if we could hire people for them. So we need volunteers for that. We're going to get to questions later. So we do need volunteers for that, and that's what the end of this meeting is going to be about. This is really designed to be just a really brief update so that we can let you guys know that things are happening, what is happening, answer some of the big questions, and then really get more people involved. Because every time somebody steps in and gets involved, we get a lot stronger, whether it's Jen making sense of stuff, or Jeff stepping in to help us with IT, or all the other people who have stepped in various ways to help us with the 70 animals and counting that we've helped since the shelter has been closed, right? So going on to my side of slides, I want to talk about the finances a little bit of where we are. It is taking about $9,000 a month, or will be taking about $9,000 a month to operate the shelter while it's closed. How can it be? We're closed. Well, I just told you we've taken care of 70 animals already, so that's part of it. We have 1 shelter staffer on part-time. We're going to be bringing on a transition manager. We've got costs associated with the buildings, with both of the buildings until we can sell one of the buildings. We're going to recap some of that funding when we do sell the building, but until then we need to raise that money. The community is being really generous on that, and we're doing that fine. The other piece of it is the renovations for 30 Sunset. So who's been in 30 Sunset in the last year and a half? What do you think of it? Okay, I got one thumbs down. You know, it's decent. Can we agree it's
Yes.
decent?
It is
It's
decent.
decent.
Just needs work.
Could it be better? Yeah.
Yeah.
Could it be healthier for the animals that are there? I'm telling you, yes. So it could be. That shelter was built a while ago. There were different standards and expectations for shelters when that was configured than there are now. There were different population demands, so we needed a lot more space for dogs and a lot less space for cats than we do now. We're also not euthanizing animals the way that we used to. When you kept dogs for a couple days and then you euthanized them, if they didn't get adopted, you didn't need much space for them. You need a more livable space for them now. So there's all sorts of things that we're trying to do there. We're limited by the existing footprint of the building. We're limited by time. I want to give you guys a date. Do I dare, board?
No.
Okay. The board has set a target reopening date of September 30th. That is super, super ambitious. And it's much later than we all want it to be, right? Because the need is out there now, but it's also a really, really hard thing. It will be really hard for us to get there. We can be knocked off that deadline so easily. And so the one thing that you can do is get involved by being a volunteer, by donating, etc., because that'll help get us the momentum to be able to go there. So most of this has already been covered, I think, and I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about big money special items, because these are the kind of items that we're not going to get to by probably selling raffle tickets or doing the other things in time to get where we need to be for renovations for this building. The HVAC, we're estimating at about $20,000. We would really like to get some volunteer efforts going towards that. I don't think they're going to cover all of it. I think that we'll probably get some of the costs waived and not all of the costs waived. To improve the cat housing is more expensive. To improve dog housing, improve the medical space so that we can do more spaying and neutering so that there's less of a cat overpopulation around here costs money, and improving the customer experience so that people want to be there. Because if they want to be there, they'll come adopt the animals. So beyond that budget, that it's not even in that budget, what if we could afford to hire somebody who was an expert in shelter design to help us maximize that space and fit in as many cats as we could and fit in as many dogs as we needed to, and make it you know, the best possible space for those animals. To me, I think that would be a lot better than if we try to do it from a bunch of amateurs that have never designed a shelter before. But again, that's going to take, we're going to be writing grants for that. We're going to be hoping to get the money for that. And this is where we're trying to go to make all this happen, to get all these pieces in place by September 30th and reopen. When we do reopen on September 30th, where'd that slide go? I don't know. When we do reopen on September 30th, we are planning a staggered or graduated reopening. So we're going to reopen cats first. There's a reason for that. Cats are easier. Cats are cheaper. We're going to have a brand new shelter staff, at least in a lot of cases, right? So there's going to be some kinks to work out. There's going to be new space issues to work out. We're going to open slowly, and we're going to open for cats. We are opening for dogs again, and that is going to happen in mid-October. So those are our targets. Again, not as quick as we'd like them to be, but achievable if we get everybody involved. Smaller donations. You know, our resource committee has been doing incredible things to go out there and raise money for the organization. A gift of $200. You know, last time when I sat at the public meeting and I wasn't involved yet, somebody stood up and said, I care about the shelter, and it made me write a check. So I thought I would say to you guys, if you care about the shelter and you haven't done it yet, write a check. because it makes a difference. Here are some of the things that you achieve by writing a check. Or, you know, write a really big check for the HVAC. That works too, right? Okay, so what we're going to do in a moment is get into discussion groups, and we're going to break down by these committees. We have a resource group, which Lydia and Eliza there are going to head up. We have development, that's me, that's talking to major donors and doing grant writing and that sort of thing. We have communication. I don't see Nicoa here, so maybe we'll stick Paul on that, maybe? You communicate so well.
Sure.
Communication is about how do we get the word out. So we're holding this public meeting. Is that a good way for us to be doing this? Should we be holding more of them? Should we be holding less of them? Should we have a newsletter? Should it be on paper? Should it be on email? Probably should be all of those things. We need volunteer help to be able to do that. So if that's your thing, go to communications, please. Social media as well. Shelter facilities. If you love that idea of trying to figure out how the space is going to work, go to that committee. That is Alice, right? No, you.
It can be.
Alice is suddenly on shelter facilities. I can't remember what we talked about the other day. Foster care. Can I ask maybe Mary Ann to take that one on? Because I just stuck that one in last night. But if we have foster parents, we have a whole bunch of adorable kittens that need homes or will need homes very soon, and Mary Ann would be thrilled to talk to potential foster parents for them or dogs that may come in. Humane education, Heidi, we sort of assigned you that one. I hope that'll work for you. And other needs and listening. In addition to doing development, I'm going to be up here and I'm going to just kind of be here for anything that's not covered with these committees to try and find a place. And Jen, you are going to be facilities.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to, well, I can do whatever you want.
Be the listening committee. Be the listening committee.
I'll be the listening committee.
Jen is really good at organizing people's ideas and thoughts about what we haven't covered yet. So I want to tell you a parable. It is the parable of the missing power cord of the video. Did you notice we started kind of late? Right. So there's an accident on the highway. There's a piece of construction equipment overturned in the median, and it's fascinating looking, which must be why it takes about twice as long to get here if you work in Chittenden County, you know, as it should. So whereas we had our 45 minutes built in here to be able to set everything up, when we got here, we didn't have time anymore. And then we got here and somebody forgot to, not me, forgot to pack the power cord in the projector. So we had, let's see, this lovely person over here ran over to get a power cord. Jeff, the volunteer, set up the projector for us after our previous projector setter upper Sean left because we didn't have a power cord. So this is just a small example of how it takes a village to do some of these things that we're trying to do. We're trying to do 142 of them and counting. So please do get involved. Do you guys have questions for us?
I have a question as to whether you're going to put that list of things you need people to volunteer for on the website, because unfortunately this is the same night my husband has a meeting and I have to go home and let the dog out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So that will be on the website.
We definitely could. Do you guys think it would be productive to put it on the website? Okay, as long as nobody gets scared and thinks they have to do all 142 themselves. Yeah. But yeah, I think we should do that. We could add a column for team members. That'd be fabulous. Okay, thank you. Great suggestion. Yeah.
Several weeks ago, we met over at the new building at 141.
Yeah.
An issue was brought up to get some local contractors in to take a look at 30 Sunset Meadows to see what was wrong and everything. And now we have some figures here. Did that come from someone looking at it yet?
No, people have looked at it. We've actually had both veterinarians in there to look at it and contractors and an engineer in to look at it. There are still pieces of knowledge that are missing, which are the shelter pieces of that. So none of the construction people were shelter experts. None of the veterinarians learned shelter construction in veterinary school, and the engineer knew neither of those things. So we're starting to get a team together. When we had that meeting over there, we didn't have anybody on that committee.
Right.
Now we've got a good, robust committee starting, but we need to recruit more people onto it. And we need to keep the work going just in terms of logistics, which means, you know, who's going to take time off work to go let people in the building sort of thing. So it is progressing and progressing amazingly well, but not as fast as if we had a professional project manager on, or even our transition manager, but we're getting there. So, other questions? Yeah.
How does somebody join your board?
There's a nominations process. That's another of the things that the board has just put into place, is a nominations process with the committee. So we are not doing that right at the moment because we've got too many other things going on. But in a couple of weeks, when we have hired a transition manager, we're going to get back to doing that, and then the board will be looking at various candidates who have come forward.
So if that's the case, then how did you add new board members already?
I was going to say, according to the bylaws,
Yep.
the board can vote in anybody up to the amount of 15 board
Yep.
members. So if somebody wanted to be on the board, you could vote them in.
As I understand it, our elections are September
Correct.
at the annual meeting. And so we will do elections at the September meeting.
know, but you're-
Up until that point, I think we need to appoint people to the board. Is that right?
No, the bylaws says you
The
can.
bylaws say that you can come to 2 meetings, and the board can vote. That was my
Right.
understanding. Can vote on something. So yes, you could request to be voted on the board at any time.
Exactly.
That is the answer, yes.
Yes.
Technically. But we are choosing to do a nominations process.
But that's not according to the bylaws. I mean, we've got to stick to the bylaws.
You can come to 2 meetings and you can request to be voted on. Absolutely. But
I
there's
already did that once, and I still haven't heard back.
I don't think you requested for a vote to be on the board.
But I definitely said that I was interested in joining the board, and I was told that there was going to be a process in place. But they
Which
didn't
there
know
now
what the
is.
process was.
Right.
So that somebody would get back to me, but nobody's gotten back to me.
So again, you saw 142 things on our list to do.
And we'll get back to you on number
Yeah.
43. I mean, building the board is one of the things on that list. And the thing about that list is that everything's got to come in an order and an order of priority. So we need to get certain things done, like the sale of 141 Fairfax first. And we'd like to be getting everything done at once, but it just can't happen that way. So I'm sorry that nobody has gotten back to you. I will personally come meet you, because I don't know your name. But I'll come meet you and make sure that we do that. Okay? Yeah. What's that?
I've been to a majority of your meetings, and I own a bed and biscuit, and I was one of the people who put a proposal on the table.
I wasn't there then when you did that. I was there when
So
you
you're a new
had a
board member
proposal.
since then?
So what's that?
Are you a new board member since then?
I am.
Right,
Yeah.
excuse me, just so you understand, it was before the meeting she came. If you've been to, I think, 2 meetings,
I've been
include a
to-
public meeting.
I had 2 meetings, I think 4 now.
Right, so I don't think that's accurate, 4 is not accurate. I think it's 2, unless I missed the other 2. She was elected prior to you saying, I'd like to be on the board. So I remember when we asked you to be on a committee, and you didn't want to be on a committee, you wanted to be on the board. And she had already been elected prior to that, us knowing that you wanted to be on the board. We learned at that last meeting where we discussed your proposal that you wanted to be on the board as well.
And I will just wrap up this conversation by saying that there's a huge amount of need on all of our committees, which we didn't have before, a committee structure. Now we have a committee structure that has about 14 committees or something like that. We're going to be looking for people on the board with certain kinds of expertise like legal. We're going to be looking for people on the committees with certain types of expertise in all of the things that committees are doing. So that's where we're going with all of this stuff. We are getting there. If you're interested in being on the board, and it sounds like we might have a couple people that are in that boat, please let me know. And I will personally make sure that you get the information on it. Okay? Yeah.
I've had a couple of people approach me asking should they continue on keeping up with their pledges. Of course, because I have, doesn't mean everybody else does. I said, I guess so, but I was trying to find out, what's the answer on that? I mean,
Please
or
do.
what do I say to the people?
Yes, it's very important. It's as important now as it ever is, not only because we're taking care of animals, but because it's going to take so much for us to move forward. It's taking, as I said, about $9,000 a month for the shelter during the time that it's closed. As soon as we have staff on to take care of animals, it's going to be more. It's really, really important to keep
So
it
this
at
will
point.
guarantee that we will have a shelter, I think, I can't.
We're going to have a shelter again. Does anybody have any doubt of that on the board?
No.
No. We're going to have it again, and we're all doing our absolute best to have it by September 30th. That's the goal, and we really want to get there.
Well, you know, you don't know what to say to them.
Yes.
To whom?
To
Oh,
the
to the
pledgers,
people?
the people.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to anybody. I know my fellow board members are happy to talk with anybody. You know, they talked about this at the last meeting, but there was not ever any evidence that there was any fraud or anything like that happening. It was just that we bit off more than we could chew. The organization said, okay, we really want to help dogs better, and we want to help cats better, and we want to be doing more spay-neutering. So we're going to take on an extra space so that we're able to do more of those stuff. So it was really the organization looking forward and trying to do the best thing for the community. And the things just didn't go right for them.
How many board members are on now currently?
Oh, I think 11. Yeah.
How many did you used to have?
At what point in
No.
time?
I know it's a silly question to say it, but is it necessary, 11?
There are 11 right now, yeah.
It's necessary to have 11?
They're all different areas of
Yeah.
expertise.
I think we
See,
do.
I'm probably going back to the old days when we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So do they,
Okay.
do any of them draw a salary?
Okay.
No,
It's all
no,
volunteer.
Okay, I'm just
No, no.
asking.
This is our
Good
free
question, but no.
second job.
That's okay, that's all I need to know.
Hi.
Is there a CPA on your board?
2 of them.
Two of them?
This is Alice Astorita over here in the blue.
Okay.
And she's been going over our books closely, so she would be very happy to talk with you about any questions
Okay.
that you have. And Keely Metz is also on our board, but she's not here right now.
Thank you.
And they're both fairly new additions to the board, I will say, within the last 8 months, 9 months.
What made you all think you could afford another building?
There was a business plan put forward. And the business plan had some revenues in it that depended on spay and neuter services. One of the things that happened with that is that the staff discovered that it's very hard. There's a statewide shortage of veterinarians. And so bringing in a veterinarian to do state spay and neuter proved very, very difficult. They weren't getting the revenue that they had planned on. There were also greater expenses than they had planned on because the building renovations took more than was expected. You know, there is still a hole in that roof, and the new buyers know that and want to buy it that way, so that's good.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there's
you were
some-
counting on money that you didn't have, but you were counting on revenue that hadn't come.
Yeah, you know, I think of it as a pretty common business problem because I know a number of entrepreneurs who have tried to expand from one location to 2 locations and underestimated what that takes. And
Yes,
it
that's-
takes a lot. It's common. You know people too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I finish answering you?
Oh, that's fine, I just thought if you didn't have it and we don't have it, how
Yeah.
did you manage to put that forward? But-
Yeah, it was a realistic enough plan that the mortgage was funded by people's banks. So it was a plausible plan.
It must have passed muster
It
if
just
a
didn't
bank
work,
was willing. Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was well thought out plan. Yeah.
Can all of the board members' names and information be put on the website?
Yes, all of their names are already up there.
And their contact information, either an email or a phone number?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, and then every minute, I'm assuming you take minutes at every meeting that you have?
We do.
Are they on the website?
They're not
So everybody can
currently.
see?
Yeah.
For how far back?
For how far back? what?
How, is it when you meet every week, every month?
At this point, we're meeting about bi-weekly,
Okay.
if you don't count this sort of thing.
And are those minutes
And
put
the
on
minutes are
website?
not on the web.
Can they be
They're-
put on there?
It would be a great idea to put them on the web. It would be helpful to have people on the communications committee to put them on the web. So it's just another piece that we need help with. To be really frank, keeping up the website, keeping up the Facebook, all of these things have got us running 10 and 15 and 20 hours outside of our jobs. We just need help with it. So yes, I think, I would guess that the board is very much in agreement that those things could and should go on the web. The question of, can we get them there, I don't know the answer to.
So if I wanted the minutes or past minutes for 2 or 3 months ago or whatever, I could just email one of the board members and they would send them to me? Because I'm assuming there's some record.
They're at the shelter, Karen.
Yeah.
We have a history, I think, of about 2 years
Yeah.
with minutes at
Yeah.
the shelter.
Now, I want to really talk about something, and this may be controversial, but I want to say,
Karen,
yeah.
you just had a question quite a while back. I don't know whether-
okay, I'll get right there. Thank you.
This is the
I want to
first
say,
James making underground, would be really polite.
what would you like to say?
Well, I have a question first. First, I want to say congratulations on the 22,000 that you've raised so far.
Yeah.
And my question is that fundraising ever being restricted for the expenses to open the shelter and do renovations, or is that being used to fund the $9,500 a month in expenses that you currently are having with the shelter?
It's unrestricted funding.
It's unrestricted, so it's being consumed with the $9,500.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the next question that I have is, how do I get a copy of the bylaws?
Mary Ann, would you be able to get that to her? She'd like a copy of the bylaws.
Oh,
Yeah. I'd be glad to, if you can give me your email address, I can probably email it to you.
Okay, so I want to suggest now that we have these committees up here, and we really need people to help us look forward and move forward. So if there aren't any more questions, maybe we could break into smaller committees. Yeah.
Do you, at this time, do you have a manager for the shelter?
No. We're hiring a transition manager.
And then when it opens, there'll be a manager?
When it opens, there will be a shelter manager. Yeah.
I don't see Rusty here, so she's no longer.
When the shelter closed, all of the staff were laid off.
They're not coming back?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know whether they'll reapply. I don't know whether they'll be hired. I don't know the answer to that.
And the monies, the dog case has been resolved, and there is going to be an amount, there's more litigation to come up with the amount. So there should be some funds trickling in from there. I don't think it's going to be in any lump sum, but
I hadn't heard that, but that would be really good news.
it is resolved.
Yeah, it's great.
And they just put the lower court to come up with a number of what it costs.
Great.
But he's not going to be charged. And, no, and I think the dogs are returned. That's what I heard on the meeting.
No.
They were able to get it back?
Try to get them back.
You know, I don't think we'll ever, and unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see a penny of that.
He's going to get the dogs back or something.
No, the dogs are gone.
Dogs are
Dogs are
That's
gone.
from good homes.
We adopted them out after holding them for over a year without being able to do anything but feed them and walk them. So they'd be
So you were able to,
Yeah, actually, I believe, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe every single one of them went into a home.
Yes. You did.
They did. Yeah. But even if he's ordered to pay back that money, I mean,
I know.
can't get
it
blood
might
from a
be-
stone.
He has no money for someone.
Unfortunately. But
And maybe payments like,
So if the people who are in charge, if our board members who are in charge of their committees could sort of go to various sides of the room, and we could have people disperse, and we will take notes. If you have ideas for the education committee, ideas for the development committee, if you have energy to bring to those things, please come to those sides of the room. And